Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SafeYields podcast. It's your 15-minute chicken on the smartest places to earn, build, and explore in DeFi. I'm Mark, CMO of SafeYields, joined with Filipe, the co-founder, and today I'm also joined by the head of business development, Nanko, from ZIGChain. They're a protocol that's reshaping how we think about DeFi infrastructure and on-chain wealth. So great to have you with us, Nanko. Where are you joining from? Maybe you could tell us just a little bit about your background.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I am basically right now signing in from Lahore, Pakistan. I usually shuttle between UAE and Pakistan, but right now residing in Pakistan. So, a little bit about my background. My background is mostly financial. I started off as a stockbroker in Pakistan, started trading world markets because of my exposure to the stock exchange here, and moved on to crypto in 2016-17. Completely left the rest of the world and joined crypto in 2021, eventually joining Signally in 2022. I have been part of the same team. First, I helped out with the Signally side, and now over the last 1 year, I have been helping ZIGChain on the business development front.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So, been in the crypto game for quite a long time, as I understand.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a roller coaster ride, but it's been awesome.
Time to make all sorts of mistakes, I bet.
Yes, definitely, definitely. How else would you learn?
Yeah.
Very true. All right. Before we jump into the headlines, I just want to shine a quick spotlight on Emma AI, which is our autonomous agent at SafeYields. She's been running a delta neutral arbitrage strategy. Even in last week's and the week before volatility, Emma has posted some super good positive returns. So kind of like a reminder that automation and proactive systems are not only helpful, they're also becoming essential in navigating DeFi today. Philippe, what are we looking at right here?
Yeah, sure. So it's actually a good example because not everything is rainbows and unicorns, even with this market. I mean, the market has been super volatile, but our strategy has been, performing, I would say, quite well. So if you look at the last month, it's something around 0.5%, which puts you at, 60% a year. We do have some new upgrades coming in, and hopefully that performance will spike a little bit. I think you can see these spikes that are happening here on the chart, and there's a new feature that's coming, which will hopefully catch on these price differences on the strategy as well. But yeah, as I mentioned, not everything is rainbows and unicorns. We did have a little bit of a drawdown here, which is not much. I still think we're at 0.44% drawdown, which is um, pretty good in my opinion. So the risk appetite on this type of strategy is kind of conservative. This usually happens just for you guys who are using the technology and are not familiar with how it works. These little drawdowns that you're seeing here usually happens when we open and close positions, new positions on the strategy, because as you know, you use perpetual futures for the strategies, and that's where you pay the biggest amount of fees. It's when you open and you close the positions. It's not that the strategy is not performing as it should. It's just it's kind of repositioning itself in order to grab on the market in the long term. But yeah, it looks good in my opinion. I hope with these new integrations that we'll see a steeper graph. Let's look forward to it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's jump into some of these news headlines. So the first one is crypto goes national in Pakistan, of all places. Speaking of, so we're starting global here. Pakistan just brought Binance founder CZ on as an official advisor to help shape their national crypto roadmap. We see that as a massive signal, not just for adoption, but for crypto's role in economic policy. Got anything to say about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a huge deal. I think Pakistan, facilitating crypto in this way, inviting CZ into the national conversation, it's a clear signal. It's legitimizing crypto, not just as technology, but as a, national infrastructure. We have, just come to realize and reach that point in the life cycle of this asset that everybody's realizing that this is the way to go. It eases up thing. It reduces costs when if you use it on a national or global scale. So why not? And having CZ in particular, who has been one of the pioneers in the crypto space, he's been the face of it, bringing in Binance, the biggest exchange. I think it's a huge deal. A shout out to my friend Bilal bin Saqib on this, who's the CEO of the Pakistan Crypto Council, that he has managed to pull this off. But I think the basic idea is that emerging markets, the point has come where even now emerging markets are looking at crypto and adopting it on a bigger scale than where it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, however.
Awesome.
Great
And
insight. Yeah.
I would say CZ actually has a bigger impact than, let's say, Vitalik, or
Exactly.
because
Agree.
in the sense that he's just a lot more active in the space. It's like he's been an OG in bringing up information and actual in trying to teach people about the potential of this.
And I think it might be an unpopular opinion, but CZ is not just your everyday guy from the West who is just bringing something in. The majority of the world lives on this side of the world, and he has actually done a lot for the rest of the world. Taking the West out, just looking at Asia, Africa, all these places where the populations are huge, but there are regulatory infrastructures are not in place. CZ has done a lot in bringing crypto to these people. So I think
Well,
from that perspective, he has a huge following. And if we attended last year's Binance Blockchain Week, we saw the kind of reception he received. People were lining up, thousands of people lined up just to take a selfie with him. He has that character, he has that stature, and having him on the side, bringing in the crypto regulations for the whole country, I think it's a huge deal.
Great. So I'm assuming, since you mentioned that you have a friend that's CEO of the council, I imagine that you guys will be somehow being able to leverage that connection into, I don't know, Zignally and in the future ZIGChain.
See, it's a bit too early for us to leverage on that in particular, but we already at ZIGChain, we kind of saw this happening. We kind of foresaw it. We positioned ourselves in this way. If you look at us, our kind of emerging markets who are getting ready for the RWA exposure, the alternate yields, the tools that bypass basic regular legacy systems. We've positioned ourselves in that area where we are going to integrate tokenized RWAs into our ecosystem and allow these markets to actually get access to it. Like, for example, being a Pakistani, if I want to invest in the US equity market, it's a hustle for me to do it. I can't do it through traditional channel because capital outflow is, restricted in my country. So I can't just send wire transfer money to America into a brokerage system and start trading. It takes me a lot of who's and ahas to get to that particular point. Crypto kind of makes it much easy for me. And so once it goes tokenized and RWAs come into the play, people like me who are sitting here and even the tokenized issuers get global audience right there and then. They don't need to have, they don't need to go through all those hassle of, messaging one person to the other. Like, for example, if I remit money to Canada to my brother, there are 8 different steps that the money follows before it reaches him. And it takes 4 or 5 days for that to happen. I can do it in 10 seconds with crypto. So I think all of this eases things up. ZIGChain has positioned itself in that area by becoming the liquidity layer for this, because our wealth management system automatically brings a liquidity or demand to these kind of products, these upcoming products. Positioned ourselves well. How we leverage it specifically with Bilal, I don't think I think he is in a completely different suit right now. We are in a completely different suit. But once the regulations come into play in Pakistan, I think it will help even ZIGChain grow their market inside Pakistan. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you just gave a 2-minute pitch on why crypto matters. It's like it's everything that we wished for. So yeah, good job on that one.
That's true.
I think being from a developing country and facing all these challenges and being in finance has changed my life. Like crypto actually has. So I have to put my hat off and give the due respect to the asset class.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned like more than half of the world is on your side of the world, which means like the other side is the West. And speaking of and moving forward, we we have what the title is called, like Trump's golden age of digital assets. So over in the US, his new crypto chief, he's promising what he calls a golden age of digital assets. We'll see, but it could mean friendlier regulation and more institutional access. Also, a renewed push for crypto financial infrastructure. So I'd just like to hear a couple of your thoughts, if they're relevant. What is ZIGChain's approach to, for example, compliance, transparency, or positioning within these regulatory environments?
ZIGChain, by the nature of what we do, we've always approached this subject with, compliance and transparency. The wealth management engine, or the so-called Zignally, was designed with modularity in mind. We are licensed from the FCSA in South Africa. The reason for that was to manage discretionary third-party funds. And, when we are bringing all of that with the wealth management engine on chain, it kind of puts the regulatory side a little, the burden of regulations a little less. But at the same time, it puts more impetus on us to be more transparent, to be, more inclined towards compliance, because that is how we are going to fit into the global regulatory framework, whether that's US, Europe, or beyond. And so it's not just the technology that we are betting on. We are basically aligning ourselves with the future of regulated open finance, I would call it. I think it's a natural progression for not just ZIGChain, for most of the Web3 companies out there, but this is how the world is moving forward. And you mentioned US. Whether I say that half of the world lives in this side of the world, most of the finances of the world still resides in the West. So, the capital is out there. So Trump doing this, I think it's a huge step. I think it's going to bring in a lot of capital. We are already seeing it. We have already seen the market go from a $1 trillion market to 3 trillion, 3.5 trillion. I think we touched the highs at those levels. So we are already seeing that level of adoption. And that is only because America has finally, after 5 years of, scrutinizing crypto, they've finally taken a step back, and they are now looking at it on a global scale and saying, okay, we need to be part of this, otherwise we'll miss the boat. And I think Trump realizes that. I hope that his, time in the office helps us even further. But I'm positive. I'm bullish with what he's doing. I think by the time he's going to be done, crypto is going to become part of our daily life. And that, when I say part of our, I mean everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. So Filipe,
I
you
would love
bullish
to
as
see.
well? Bullish or bearish on the opinion here?
Yeah, I would love to see it happening. To be honest, I think it's somehow debatable on how things are being processed right now. However, I'm still bullish, and I do think that it's gonna come around. It might be a little bit drastic for the rest of us in the neighbors of the world. I'm in Europe, and Europe is just stupidly conservative about crypto assets right now. It's just, I think we're going to lose the train if he keeps like this. So there's Mika just had some new regulations for Europe here by the beginning of the year, and it's just madness. If you want to have a crypto asset management company here in Europe, you're screwed. You have no chance. You're just against it. USDT has been kind of deprecated right now as well. It makes really no sense, But still, I think the US, although they're being quite aggressive on how they're managing things, I think I would rather see something, on those lines than just to be as conservative as we are in Europe right now, to be honest. So yeah, I would say I'm still, I have a bullish sentiment on what's happening in the world right now. And it's good for us at SafeYields, because the more volatile the market is, the better our technology performs, because we're feeding on volume. Yeah, I would say a biased opinion, but yes, I'm bullish too.
Great insights, man. Okay, so we were talking a little earlier about CZ versus Vitalik. Speaking of, we have the last topic, which is Ethereum apps are starting to out-earn layer 1 cores. Yeah, so like I just mentioned that app layer revenue on ETH hit 5 times what the base chain made in Q1. That's pretty insane. It's a stat that's hard to ignore. Also proof that product market fit lives in the applications, not just in the chains beneath them. So, Nanko, could you talk a little bit how ZIGChain's wealth management engine and hub are built on the app layer?
Yeah, sure. So, the stats that you just gave us, 5 times the applications are making 5 times more money than the base chain. That clearly shows us that the value is accrued at the app layer. And even on Solana, if we go on Solana, Pump., Jupiter, all these DApps are making more money than Solana itself. So we've gotten this thesis that the value is accruing at the app level, and people don't come here for blockchains. Like, blockchain is a infrastructure basically. So what are you going to do with it without any applications? So people are coming here for outcomes, and the apps that generate yield, automate investing, simplified DeFi, all of these where the stickiness is. If we take one by one examples of these apps who are making millions and millions of dollars on a daily basis, we realize that the reason for that is because they are making it easier for the user to do whatever the user wants to do. And that is so at ZIGChain, we've gone all in on our wealth management engine. It's an app layer by design. So the Signally tech stack is going to be a layer on top of the base blockchain layer, and users don't need to assemble complex strategies. So the wealth management engine is what it's going to do is they are going to mint a single service token and get exposure to the entire portfolio. So for example, if let's say Filipe is running his delta neutral strategy on ZIGChain, who has absolutely no idea how strategies work or where should I invest, or I'm bad at my research because I don't have the time, I don't have the skill set or the knowledge of the crypto market, I could just simply go and invest money in Philippe's, strategy and reap the benefits of it. So even on a Signally level, it was a no cost, product. You only paid the cost once the strategy made you any money. So let's say I make $20 profit out of 100. I give Philippe $4 back for his work, and I keep the rest. And on DeFi, instead of putting in money in his strategy directly, I just mint his token and buy them. So I can redeem those tokens later on and get my money back. So depending on the strategy, the value of the token will move accordingly. So yeah, so this is the thing that we have taken into account and trying to bring that forward, because even in TradFi, the evolution of finance was something similar. So we've gone back 40, 50 years in TradFi and said, okay, what led to this boom in TradFi where new products started coming in and liquidity started pouring into capital markets? And we wanted to replicate something similar for crypto because that didn't exist for crypto on a bigger scale. There are applications which allow certain things, but they are either chain, kind of restricted to one particular chain, which kind of fragments the liquidity that way. So we wanted to create a liquidity layer rather than, restrict ourselves with just one piece in the corner and keep looking there. So yeah, ZIGChain basically allows you to do all of that without any problems.
Amazing. Okay.
Great, yeah. So yeah, eventually we might even have DeFi apps, ETF, tokenized ETF or something, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you have like bags of different strategies, best performing ones, riskier ones, etc., etc. That's, I think, it's been a time come for a DeFi centric blockchain. I would say, it's rare for people to understand that crypto is becoming DeFi essentially. There's not really much else to do, to be honest, in my opinion. It's like 90% of it. So
exactly. So far, this majority of the volumes are meme coins. Who knew that something like meme coins is going to start attracting so much capital? And I'm talking about billions and billions of dollars. Like, the presidents of the world are now launching their own tokens. So it kind of got there. So there's a commercial aspect to it, and then there's a serious aspect to it, which where only people who are interested in this are going to jump in. But both of it has its own merits. So I think ZIGChain is trying to place itself more on the yield side, where serious capital comes in and is locked away, and that capital earns a certain yield. But of course, we can't let go of the these little commercial areas as well, because they bring in the users, they bring in the volumes, they bring in they bring in culture, for the most important thing. So I think that all is going to be available. But as Philippe mentioned, it's like the housing market in the US boomed because there were certain products like on mortgages which allowed any Tom, Dick, and Harry to just, invest in those. That allowed the US housing market to boom before the bust, of course, but it boomed. So I think ZIGChain is positioning itself into a position where you'll be able to leverage on our technology to kind of expand on the product side of finance or open finance for that matter.
Great stuff.
I really like the example where you guys went back like 40, 50 years and scrutinized like what led to this new boom in traditional finance. Great insight there, yeah. We're gonna just have a quick SafeYields update again before we wrap. So beside Emma's performance, we've also seen a spike in user interest around automated vaults and macro-sensitive strategies. This kind of tells us that people want tools that adapt in real time, avoiding constant rebalancing or decision fatigue. As you mentioned, some people just don't have the time, maybe even the mental capacity, whatever, to do this. So, what is your opinion, Nanko, on the rising interest in automated DeFi tooling? How are protocols like ZIGChain responding to this?
So, yeah, I think automated tooling is a natural progression of how technology moves forward. We've seen it not just on ZIGChain side or in crypto, but everywhere where technology has gone, tooling has made it easier. And so that's a very natural way of moving forward. And technology keeps taking over and it makes it easier for us puny humans to do less and less. So I think in crypto, it's the same equation, and hence ZIGChain is also positioning itself right there, because at the end of the day, the wealth management engine is a tool which allows people to, invest without the complexity of investment. So we are, very aligned to create more and more tools so that it becomes easier. For example, right now we just talked about ETFs and joining all of these things. Imagine an app where you can create your own ETF by just clicking two links. It would that would be the day that ETFs are out there and we would be using them or investing in them and so on and so forth. So I think tooling holds its ground. It is one of the most important aspect of building the whole infrastructure in general. So I would, we have to have them and we have to grow on them. That's how I would like to see things moving forward, because it eases things up for everyone.
Filipe, any insights on that one?
I mean, I think you pretty straightforward just mentioned the value of it. So yeah, appreciate it. Regarding SafeYields specifically, I think that's where we're going. And on top of that, we'll just give it another layer. So on top of just with one click, you'd be like able to invest in a specific complicated strategy, or something that a human cannot even start doing manually. You have to really automate it. So I think another layer on top of that is the way that we're kind of like the AI agent narrative is kind of getting saturated. I think, but still, it's because there's so many of the same thing, and the way that we see it with Emma AI is it's more than just an AI agent. So it's like a really financial advisor that you can just make and deploy portfolios tailored to your own risk appetite. And not only that, it's another step that we're taking forward is Emma doesn't scope the entirety of the DeFi space, looking for, okay, so what's the best yield that is on the market right now? So we only use vetted strategies. And I think that's another thing that adds a lot of value. So we control the exact yield that's happening, the risks, so we do understand, and it's a very tailored user experience in that sense. So yeah, and just imagine like when we have 20 different strategies, we'll have different risk appetite strategies, and we'll be able to, instead of just going through every single one of them, you just have a chat with Emma, and then Emma will figure out which ones will be more tailored to you. So that's the kind of step that we're trying to take. And you also mentioning like, and I'm just here not quoting, but just adding a little bit on top of what Nanko mentioned about ZIGChain. And I think that we've been in talks with ZIGChain, I think for like 4-6 months now, something like that. We became good friends, so you're getting close and closer. Nanko here has been a very advocate of SafeYields, and I really do appreciate it. I think it just makes sense for infrastructures like ZIGChain to exist, because that's what we're looking for. It's like a DeFi centric protocol. So if we are able to build on top of it, that's value to everyone. And just think about it as vault structures, as you mentioned, but then just make it even simpler for people not having to try and understand what the vaults are doing, so I think something made together here might have like a lot of potential to be what people are looking for in the future, in my opinion.
Okay, amazing. So for folks tuning in mid-show, Nanko, give us the 60-second rundown about what is ZIGChain and what is the big idea behind it.
Okay, so I mentioned most of it already. ZIGChain, basically, the whole idea was that information flows as a pyramid from top to down, and as information is flowing from top to bottom, people lose opportunities. So the top has the most opportunity, and then as it goes down, people lose out on opportunity. We wanted to create an infrastructure where everybody gets equal investment opportunity. Because of people not having the skill, time, and knowledge, they are left out. We wanted to bring them into the basket. With the blockchain, no global restrictions, accessible globally. We wanted to bring an infrastructure where the whole world can, just invest without the complexity of investment. They don't have to do anything of their own, and they only pay a cost once they have made money out of their investment. So that was the whole idea. We've been working on it with Zignally for 6 years. There were restrictions with the initial product because it was only integrated with centralized exchanges. Now we are with ZIGChain, becomes a much bigger play field. We can have applications, we can have strategies, we can have all of this gelled in together in one place where users can come and, like Filipe mentioned, finding the best strategy to basically reflect their own risk appetite. And that's what we are trying to do.
Amazing. So for those that are interested in following, where can we follow along or jump in to learn more about the project?
So I think follow us on our socials. That's the first way of going about it. There's a lot happening. The testnet is already out. We are bringing in a few applications on the testnet live very soon. And even the gamified testnet is going to be out probably in a very short time. So that will allow people to start interacting with the chain right there and then. We wait till the mainnet probably in Q2 only, but probably by the end of the Q2. And we are also having a ZIGChain summit in Dubai a day before token 2049. So if you're in Dubai, we can share the link or you can find it in our socials. Register, come over. I think there is going to be a lot of alpha over there, and there's going to be a lot of good networking opportunity as well. So be there, I think, and you'll get to know more and more about ZIGChain and what we are trying to do.
Awesome. I think
Awesome.
Bogdan is in Dubai and he's attending, so I'm sure he'll give you guys a
You
visit.
guys are our VIP, guests.
Thank you,
So
appreciate it.
always
Great to
welcome.
know.
But
All right, guys.
I'll give you the kicker here. I still haven't gotten the visa, so I
Oh,
might not be there.
so fingers crossed for that one.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I just got rejected yesterday for my visa. So I reapplied yesterday again. Let's hope that it works out for me. Otherwise, I won't be attending.
Totally
If
worth the effort
there's
if it comes through.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need on-chain visa deployment now
exactly.
just to make things easier.
So
Yeah, just
down
mint it.
tokens.
Just mint it yourself, no? All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap. I just want to give a big thanks to Nanko from ZIGChain again for joining us. Also, you as well, Filipe. And
Really
for more
appreciate you
curated
guys.
signals, vaults, and AI agents, you can go check out SafeYields.io, ZIGChain.com as well. And their X is also at ZIGChain. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right, great. So until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes,
It was
Thank
a
cheers,
you.
guys.
pleasure.
Cheers.
Good to see you. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye.